Hey guys, what's up? So I wanted to come on here and talk about, AI again, the AI services I use. But I specifically want to talk about Hailuo, Hailuo. And, I talked about them highly before when I first started using them late last year. And mainly because of the fact that when you answer something in the 01 version, the 01, basically it would give you exactly what you want, or at least close to it. And then when they went to 01 Live, 01 Dash Live, it's still kind of all right, but, it got a little bit more tricky because now it had camera control and it was trying to push that, you know, that peripheral if you wanted it or wanted to use it. And so I kind of sat back on it a little bit. I would go back and forth on it, and sometimes it would kind of give me what I want, sometimes not. It all depended. It was basically, like I said, more focused on pushing the peripheral, the additional peripheral to put into camera control and things, you know. So I was just more focused on VDU, VIDU, Kling, and of course Pix verse. That's PIX verse, PIXVERSE. I was more focused on that than anything else. As well as I would go to, utilize, outlets like Runaway, and then I would use sometimes Pika if I wanted to. And then I got into Flow, which is of course VO, which is VO3, VO2. That's VEO2, VEO3 of Google, and that's pretty good too. That kind of that kind of gives you that kind of gives you basic. And I do apologize if you heard that in the background, but like I said, that kind of gives you exactly what you're asking for as well, and that kind of like in its initial first few months has kind of gotten to that top echelon, if you will, of hey, I want to use this as a platform, going forward because it does allow you to extend your image or extend your video that you create. That's VEO2, VEO3 of Google, through Flow and Whisk and all that. It does, and other outlets it's, utilized on. It does allow you to extend for as long as you want. There's no limitation. You can get creative. Sometimes you can get creative in what you want to see happen, via description and all that, whether it's image to video or text to video and stuff like that. Um, but here's what's interesting though. Here's what's interesting though about the whole thing with Halo U though. So, out of curiosity, I wanted to just check back in on it, you know, because I would go back and forth, and recently it really hadn't changed too much, as of like last week or so, or at least a week or two prior. And then over the past few days, I noticed something. So I went, just out of curiosity, went to Halo U and saw that it had a version 2. And I'm thinking, what's this? So I tested it out, and I tested it out on basically non-membership wise. That basically meaning you'd have to wait. You'd have to rate variety wise, time wise, if you will, on how long it's going to take for your image or prompt or whatever to be made. So I waited, and much to my surprise, I noticed that what I asked for actually came to be. It actually was very accurate to what I wanted. Kind of very similar to, like I said, not like I said, but very similar, I should say, to VDU. That's VIDU. Very similar. It's very similar to that, if you will, in context of giving you what you want. But I noticed though that Halo U's version 2 not only was giving you exactly what you wanted, like VDU would, but it was giving it to you almost, as it's advertised, as it advertises at times, giving it to you precisely as you want. Because that's part of the advertising of Halo U02, Halo Halo U dash 02. Um, Basically, it is precise in what you want. It gives you precisely what you want, and I was surprised by that. Again, I just tested it out, and on non-membership, that I was on non-membership tier, and I was surprised. So I went back, resubscribed to our on standard, not pro yet, not pro yet, but standard. I went to that, and basically what happened. Long story short, what happened is every time I would go on there and I would say, okay, I want to use this image to make it like this, or I want to have this image do that and stuff like that. My first thought is, okay, it's going to kind of give me what I want and everything because maybe the first time around was just luck and it's a new tier, it's a new version that they put in, and it's just getting its feet wet. So I'm thinking, it'll go back and kind of give me what I'm wanting, but not precisely, and this I'll just go back to VDU, right? No, this is the truth. I tested it out even further, even after I got, after I did a few more times on the non-membership deal. I tested it out even further back as a member, and with a subscription. And long story short, everything I asked for, and you'll see some of the examples here on that I feel was YouTube appropriate. Here, you'll see exactly, what I'm talking about. But, for example, there are some videos here that, like I said, I made some AI videos that I made using images, and like I said, some of them are, very, very, very well done, very well created by Hailuo U2, the second version or the second tier of Hailuo U, because of the fact, that I would ask it to do something, like I said, and it would do it. For example, like let's say you're seeing the image of Minerva melting differently than she did in Moon over Minerva. We all know how she melted into goo in Moon over Minerva and in Meet Minerva. Well, here you get to see it done in a way that you want. Like you can prompt it to do it, and all that, and it will do it in a different way. And when you see that, you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's a unique kind of, change, if you will, in the presentation of that scene. Or another example is Fifi LaFume. Fifi LaFume from Tiny Toons, University and Adventures. Fifi, basically, in How I Spent My Summer Vacation, or How I Spent My Vacation movie, um, encountered, her crush, her idol crush, the celebrity crush in Johnny Pugh, right? After she encounters him, he basically tosses his stuff on her and everything by saying, because she says, she would, die for him and all that. And he says, yeah, I know, and he said, yeah, I know. Here, you could just carry my stuff. And he literally dumps his stuff on her. And then as she pops her head out, she says the line, somebody pinch me, right? Well, to me, I always looked at that as a moment, a missed opportunity, a moment and missed opportunity to where they could have done the lustful melt gag and had her literally melt there. Well, now with Hailuo U, I don't know if you can do. I mean, I'm sure you can probably do it VDU and cling and all that, but Hailuo U gives it to you exactly the way you want. Sometimes you have to do it a second time and all that, like maybe emphasize a little bit more, like you have to use the parentheses, in what you want. Like you have to copy and paste your original prompt, and basically when you do that, you have to create some parentheses and then paste that prompt between the parentheses to really give the idea of what you want to see. So yeah, you have to maybe do that. That's the only catch with a lot of these AI systems. But to me, again, that was a missed opportunity in the movie. So I figured let's try it out here, and it worked perfectly. It worked perfectly to where all I described was, okay, have her melt all over the items, and she does. She literally melts all over the items. Now expanding it, is a different story because you have to take that though over to, let's say, Pixverse, if you will, which is my go-to for expanding. If one AI doesn't have that, it doesn't have the expand or extension, I go to Pixverse and it helps out a lot. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't, but I liked what I saw. I liked the initial result here because it's like, wow, she literally melted. And again, to me, that was originally when this movie first came out in 1991, I believe. It was a missed opportunity for them to do. It was a very big missed opportunity. But it's not just that either. I mean, yeah, you could take characters like, like I said, Minerva Mink, Dot Warner. You can have them melt differently than they initially did in the episodes on the cartoons, like Dot melting in the alien's chair and Space Probe, and the OG Animaniacs, Minerva melting in Moon and Meet Minerva, Moon over Minerva, Meet Minerva, and all that. You can have her melt differently than she initially did. Babs, you can have the same thing happen to her. Babs Bunny, the way she melted and um, the way she melted in Europe in 30 minutes. And at the end of It's a Wonderful Time to Christmas, you can have them melt differently and it looks great. It's a unique, different take. But then what's interesting too is if you wanted to, and I actually screenshotted these on my phone. You could take the melted form, the melted puddle form, and you could actually work with that too. Yeah. Now, initially, when I would use VDU or now even Hailuo use version 2 to have a character melt, I would take it over to Pixverse, and I would have Pixverse basically add on to it. Like I would, for example, I would have them add on maybe lipstick lips popping out and everything, kind of basically representing the character, or the character, just having the lipstick lips appear, be like, yeah, I'm now, just lips now. I'm just lipstick lips. I'm now just a puddle and all that. Um, and that's kind of cool. It's kind of fun to see. It's kind of fun to see. Um, but but honestly, though, like I said, and I do apologize if you hear anything in the background. But anyway, like I said, you know, these, you can have these opportunities to do things you normally wouldn't do. So, like I said, like I said, I screenshotted like, after the characters melted and all that, right? And what I did is instead of going to Pixverse and using the image to video option there, I decided to test it out on Hailuo's version 2. Now I could do it on VDU 2 and maybe get a similar result. But here with Hailuo 2, I just wanted to see how good they could get, and they were fantastic. To be honest with you, I mean, they even took whatever Pixverse would do, and all that. They blew that out of the water. They were fantastic here because for example, I took Bab's melted form after her melted puddle form after she melted in Europe in 30 minutes, and I said, okay, prompt wise, have her melted form expand across the floor, and it did. It expanded to the point that it looked like it basically covered the whole floor. The first time I had it as well, I said spread. I kind of switched out the word spread for expand and all that, but originally it was have her form spread, melted form spread across the floor, right? And her form, basically her melted form in the original one, where I said spread instead of expand, literally seeped through the cracks, flowed and seeped through the cracks of the wall, like, basically disappeared. I was like, okay, that's unique, and everything's unique. But if you just like, and that's the other thing too about these prompts, is it depends on the wording and the image and how it's going to get presented. So if you use, like, for example, like I did, if you say have the melted form expand, it's a good chance you're going to have it expand across the floor. And that's what hers did. Not just, after she melted in Europe in 30 minutes, but I also screenshotted when she melted at the end of Wonderful Tiny 15 Christmas with her eyes and clothes on top of a puddle. And that was kind of unique to see as well. And that was kind of fun, if you will. And I even have, going back to Europe in 30 minutes from Tiny Toon Adventures, after she melts, and it's just right before, the guys, Buster, Plucky, and Hampton run, after the royal couple, and they literally run right through her, and she splashes all over like, a regular puddle. Right before that, I basically said the same thing, have, her melted form expand, and it did. And it did it a lot better than Pittsburgh. I hate to say it, it did. It did a lot better. I was impressed by that. I really was. I really was impressed. Um, and my thumb just hit the mic there. I do apologize. But that's not all. That's not all. I mean, there are some things that I tried. I don't want to put on here on YouTube due to YouTube's algorithm and all that. But for example, Club MPV, Mud Puddle Visuals, on their Twitter page sometimes, they will put up images, still images, photos of upcoming, or not upcoming, but already already distributed, scenes that they would do with their actresses, with their models. And I decided, okay, let's see what happens if I take this character and then have them submerge and see what happens. Because what I would have with VDU sometimes would do it in one shot, but you have to really emphasize it. With either the 4 seconds and speed and auto option for that, because the auto option is for movement and speed is basically like 360 480p. Um, and sometimes you got to go a little higher to really get what you want, like 8 seconds, 24, and all that. Like 8 seconds and medium movement and 720p and all that. And that costs you about 24, which is okay. But sometimes they don't really necessarily give you what you want right off the bat. Sometimes you have to do it like twice with that choice. And I think that's something they need to improve on, and hopefully they will. Even though they have what is it, Q1 now, which is basically the 1080p option, but and that still needs work because you kind of get what you want there, but it kind of doesn't totally give you what you want. So they need to improve a lot more. But they're still up there to where if you want something done a certain way, they will give it to you, although it might take one or two shots. Hailuo here, like I said earlier, lives up to the precise deal or the precise advertisement because of the fact that, for example, I could have one of the models that, is like, that has a photo of them, getting ready to submerge under some mud or some MP blick, if you will, and all that, or whatever substance they're gonna dive into it, dive into, swim into, to submerge into, you know. And I will literally say, okay, have this person melt into the mud or submerge into the mud, and again with VDU, it kind of works right off the bat. Sometimes it takes like one or two, three tries. Mostly two tries at most, as far as I know. Sometimes not even that. Sometimes it's just like I forget it. It's just not gonna do it the way you want. Here with Hailuo in version 2, you want it, they will give it to you. Yeah, and even if you screenshot, you take your phone, you screenshot that scene, as a video, it's in video form and trailer form, and you say, okay, I want it this way. I want so and so to melt into the mud, basically submerge into the mud. They will give it to you. Yeah, they will give it to you. And sometimes, yeah, it might take one more try because you have to emphasize what you really want. But even on that second try, that second attempt, it gives you what you want. It really does. For example, I don't know if I have it up here. There's a Stripperella Twitter page, and it opens all these automatic GIFs, GIFs, and photos, images and videos up. So I said, okay, this image of her just face and all that. Let's see what happens. And I said, okay, she's gonna melt into a puddle of goop. You melt completely, subjectively into a puddle of goop. And the first time it was like, okay, did all right. But then I'm like, okay, maybe I need to emphasize it, put an extra parentheses on both the end of the prompt and the, in front, in at the end of the prompt and at the beginning of the prompt, which was basically, like I said earlier, a copy and paste of the original prompt. So I did that, and the second time around gave me exactly what I wanted. She basically had to melt into a puddle of goop, being happily and seductively melt into a puddle of goop. And I enjoyed it. I really did. I was like, yes, that's exactly what I'm looking for. And like I said, I'm not saying VDU wouldn't give it to me that way, but knowing how they are, you really have to emphasize more so than I think with Hailuo to get what you want. And they seem to make it a little bit more rougher at times too. Whether it's the 4 seconds or 8 seconds, the 12 credits, the 4 credits, the 24 credits. They seem to make it a little rougher. This here, by the way, this is all created in 1080p. That's right. All these AI images to videos and text videos are created in 1080p smoothly, smooth as silk. And it feels like it, and when you see the end result, it feels like it was always naturally to be, it feels like basically that scene or this video that you create was always naturally meant to go in this direction, you know, and that's kind of cool. It's really, really cool. I mean, in fact, there's some images here of a fan that, did a gadget CGI, and originally she's standing there. So I said, okay, let's have gadget dance, and everything seductively and all that, and flirtatiously, or act seductive and flirtatious and dance and all that. And what you see here is like, this is the end result. Like, this was always meant to be the way it's supposed to, and it gives you what you want. Heck, you could be lucky, and I was lucky. I don't know. I guess they fixed it or something. But I was lucky that the other night or the other day, I decided, okay, let's take this image of Charlie Morningstar, from after a workout in the gym. Let's let's have her kind of act seductive and flirtatious and start to slowly strip, like taking off the clothes. Guess what? Instead of doing what they're doing now, which is saying, hey, this is kind of violating, can you reword what you said, or re-edit, basically reword your description. Guess what? That time, they didn't say anything. It started to show her slowly kind of like act like, and it just ended this way. It just ended to where it looked like she was going to kind of like start stripping, or at least take the pants off. But that's not the first time either. A couple days prior, I tried it with Jude. I tried it with a modelized version, more of a, I guess you could say, sensual version. Somebody created a more, I guess you could say, elegant office version of Judy Hopps' Zootopia. And basically, I did the same thing there, and it literally had her getting ready to open up her jacket and kind of like show that she's gonna take it off and give a strip show. And she wasn't the only one. There was an artist had done one with Crystal, and then with Crystal from Star Fox. Crystal, the blue fox, blue vixen from Star Fox. You know, they had her. They had her in this image where she's standing. I don't know if I'll probably post something. I'll probably put that up. It's not going to harm anything. But it's literally like she's standing there, and basically she takes part of her armor off, like she's getting ready to strip for you. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of new. It's surprising. But now it's like they're kind of onto it. It's like they're understanding, like, oh, wait a minute, that might go against what we want. So, once in a while you can get lucky if that's the case. Um, you can get lucky if that's the case, to do something like that, but not entirely. And there are times that they will basically, and you got to be, and this is the one key thing too. You got to be quick on the ball about this. They will um, they will basically, because your prompt will go all the way through, but like I said, you got to be quick on the ball to download it, because after a bit they will tell you to re-edit because it goes against the terms or the policy, or they'll say re-edit or appeal. They'll basically give you an option to appeal it, to say, hey, there's nothing wrong here. And this is just examples, in my opinion, of, again, just like with any other service I've used, Kling, VDU, Pixverse, Luma. Oh, and by the way, Luma is actually getting a little bit better too. They'll be a little bit more accurate, like especially with the extensions with image to video. But anyway, but just like what I said with Kling, Luma, Pixverse, Pika, Runaway, VDU, and even Hailuo here, AI is still learning. Still learning. The fact of, okay, this is not a big issue. Okay, this is not a big deal. This is not a big issue. Let's try it out. Da da da, and all that. So they're still learning. What's appropriate, what's not appropriate, what's borderline, and all that. So you're gonna run into that once in a while if you try something. You will. And the best option that I could give you is go like, if this wasn't there, or not, well, if this wasn't there, but the best option I could give you is like, if you notice, okay, maybe this is why they don't want to do the video, or they don't want this on there as a, upload as an image to video potentially. My best option is use whatever edit tool, your edit software you have, or go to cleanuppictures.com or wherever, and edit out whatever image you feel is preventing you from using that image to make into a video that you want to see, courtesy of Hailuo or anyone else. And sometimes when you do that, it will work. It will work. So yeah, this new tier, this new version, this update of Halo AI, Halo 02, I think is really good. In closing, I think it's really good. It is giving you kind of, as like I said earlier, and a couple times in the video, it is precisely giving you what you want. Is it perfect? Not by a long shot. Not by a long shot, because you'll still have to maybe once, twice at most, but once, but maybe once have to, do it again, maybe with an extra parentheses, and you're emphasizing of what you want to see happen, and most of the time it will give you what you want. Another good example, in my opinion, is I'll go to Pixverse. Like after I'll do, let's say, some of the submerging of the girls in the, like, again I mentioned earlier, sometimes I'll take the still images of some of the models from Club MPV, and how after I do the video of having them submerged courtesy of VDU, or even now Hailuo, I'll take them over to Pixverse and I'll say, okay, my prompt for it, the prompt I'll put in there is have their facial imprint, visage imprint, if you will, in a heart shape, appear on the mud, or on the, basically on the mud of the substance they submerged under. That's kind of making it look like they have now merged and become one with the mud, or become basically part of it. And Pixverse will give you pretty much what you're asking for most of the time, depending on the image. That's the other thing too. That's the key thing there too. It's depending on the image. But now I've realized as well is you can do that with Hailuo. You can do it with the standard 6 seconds that they give, or if you're on the Pro, the 10 seconds. You could do that and it looks great. Maybe not on par, well, kind of on par, but not really with what Pixverse gives you, but it's on par with it. At least it's in that same vein. So basically, you can get everything you want within 6 to 10 seconds with this one service. Especially with the new version. So I like it. I really like it, and I'm going to be using it more often over time. I'm still going to use Kling. I'm still going to use Pictures. I'm still going to use VDU and Runaway and all them and Numa, because I know just like Hailuo has done now, they are all going to improve. I mean, Kling is getting there with the 2.1, the 2.0, the 2.1 master, the 2.0 master. They're getting there. They're leading the pack. And I know Pixverse is going to get there. They're kind of there, sort of, with 4.5, but I think they need to improve better with that as well, because when you want something to say, okay, I want just the, like, let's say the eyes and the lips of the female character that submerged under the bow bath, stuff, making it look like the part of the bow bath. Instead of me having to go to version 4 or version 3.5, I want to see it. I want to see it, the way I want on 4.5. So they need to improve on that, and I think they will. Luma, like I said, it's getting better, so they definitely are on the right track. They just need to, put more improvements and all that. And I think when they take their next update, which could involve a Ray 3, instead of Ray 2, Ray 2.5, but a Ray 3, I think when they do the Ray 3 or whatever they're going to call it, that is when they're going to basically be stepping up and saying, hey, whatever VDU can do, whatever Kling can do, whatever Hailuo can do, or Hailuo in version 2 can do, we can do just as good, if not better. So I think they're on the verge of doing that. And yeah, can't really say any more than what I have. Like I said, they're improving. You could see it there. They're improving. Runaways improving at times. You could see it. Kling, like I said, is improving. VDU is improving. That. So they're all getting there. They're all getting there over time. And I like, so I'm very respectful of that. I'm very happy that they're doing that. But Hailuo, which, when I first started using it late last year, I thought was probably the best option when it came to getting precisely what you wanted. Well, they may have lost a step or two over the past several months, or at least in the first half of the year. But I have to say that with this version 2, they've really regained that step. And again, is it perfect? No. But I'm looking forward to whatever the next step is going to be for them. And again, like I said, they, along with everyone else I mentioned, even VO2 and VO3 of Google, they're all improving, and you can see that. And the more they improve, the better they're going to get. Not only the better they're going to get, but the more people are going to want to try them out to see who is basically the best at giving you, accuracy at, what you're asking for in your prompts. So that Halo U2, like I said, as you can see in the images, hopefully, that you can see without issue here on the YT. These are from all created from the Hailuo Hailuo -02. This was created from them, and this is basically giving you exactly what you're asking for, almost the way you want. So if you want to try it out, try it out. It's up to you. But I just wanted to come on here, talk about it, show you some examples of it. And again, I'm not saying I'm giving up on the other ones, because the other ones are still good. Because the one thing that still holds this back, Hailuo U back, is they don't have no extending. They don't have extending like Pitchverse. They don't have no extending like Kling or Luma, or Runaway. They all lead the pack. They'll, like, if you were to rank these by, extending by AIs that allow you to extend more and everything, at the very top would be Google's VO2 and Luma and Kling. Those are the top three right there. Luma, VO2, Google's VO2 and 3, through Flow, and Kling. Those are your top three. The ones behind it, Runaway and Pixverse, because they got limitations, and the ones that would basically get back, and the ones that would be at the bottom that shouldn't be at the bottom because they don't have it yet, is VDU and Hailuo. So once they bring extension, both of those bring extension, things are going to change. The ball game's going to change. There's no doubt. They might even overtake the top three, when it comes to giving fans what they want and allowing them to expand on it. But right now, if I was to go, like you said, extension wise, top three are Kling, Luma, and the VO2 and 3 of Google. But if I was to rank it basically from accuracy and all that, guys, if I was to do that, if I was to and hold on for a second, guys, so I do something. But if I was to rank it, like I said, to accuracy and all that, not extending, not extension, because like I said, the top three there would be Kling, Luma, and Google's VEO3 and VEO2. But if I was to rank them through accuracy right now, I would say VO2. I would say right now, Hailuo U, accurate wise, is taking that top spot. I would say VDU. I would say not VDU, but I would say I would say Google's VO2 and 3 at the second, Kling at third, Video at 3, VIDU at 3. I mean at fourth, VIDU VU at 4, and Pixverse Pixverse at 5, and then Runaway and Picaverse at 6 and 7. That's how I rank it to accuracy. Accuracy, like I said, would be Hailuo U right now, Google's VEO2 and 3, Kling, Luma. I forgot that Luma, so that's your top 4 right there. VDU at 5, and then I would say Runaway at 6, and then I would say Pika at 7. So those would be the way I would rank them, based on accuracy, in my opinion. But yeah, I wanted to, like I said, just talk about this, show you some examples, and hopefully that are appropriate for the YT and all that. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys, down below. Comment if you like the video, ring the bell for notifications. Next time, guys, also do everything in the description. Help me out. That can help me out outside of YouTube. Check out my content, there as well as a Teespring store for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. But guys, give me your thoughts on this, and until next time, I will talk to you all later. God bless. Take care.